Welcome back to Buy or Sell, the series where you tell me your predictions for the coaster world, and I either buy or sell what you're pitching and explain why. If you missed episode 1, check out that link below, and if you want to throw an idea at me, be sure to leave a comment with buy or sell in front of it so I can find it later. So without further ado, this is Buy or Sell, episode 2. We'll start this off with Paul Van Laar. Canada's Wonderland will get a B&M invert. I'm selling this. If they take out Flight Deck and Time Warp, this is possible, but I can't see them settling for an invert. There hasn't been a new invert in the Cedar Fair chain since 2014. They like using this park as a testing ground. People may see an invert as too similar to Flight Deck, and there are a bunch of other models they could go with that would be more interesting. The next entry on this video has a better idea. Brandon Tai. Canada's Wonderland will remove Time Warp and Flight Deck for a B&M surf coaster. I'm buying this. They need a launch coaster. I mentioned in my video that a mock multi-launch makes a lot of sense, but B&M has done a ton of work with this park. They got the first B&M Giga for this park. I could absolutely see them getting the first surf coaster. It makes a lot of sense, so even if it never happens, I'm buying it as a logical idea. S. Meyer 13. The first SNS Access goes to Dollywood in 2023. I think this will go to a Six Flags park, so I'm selling this. I think the first Access will be smaller, a more simple model that will fit in with a mid-sized Six Flags park, something like Fiesta Texas. I'm not saying Dollywood won't get one. I just think if they end up with one, they'll probably wait and get something bigger and longer. Riley Dunavant. Six Flags with the new management will give Six Flags Over Georgia a new ground-up, possibly record-breaking coaster. This is in response to Funspot Atlanta getting a new RMC. I'm selling this. I think Air Force One will bring a lot of people to Atlanta, but it's still no competition for Six Flags Over Georgia. I think they have enough big-time rides to bring people into the park if they happen to be visiting Funspot. Maybe they will get a new ground-up coaster soon, but I don't think they'll go above and beyond trying to get a record breaker. I think they'll get something like a free spin. S. Meyer 13. Holiday World gets a B&M Hyper in 2024. It makes a lot of sense for Holiday World to get a new coaster in 2024. It took 9 years between Voyage and Thunderbird, and 2024 will be another 9 years since Thunderbird. If Holiday World is going big every 9 years, I think a B&M Hyper is entirely possible. I'm buying this. Thunderbird opened up a whole new world for this park. State-of-the-art inverting steel coasters are now in the mix, not just Woodies. A Hyper is a crowd pleaser. It's expensive, but Holiday World will pay for it. It may not happen, but I don't see why it can't. Dino Yippee. SNS will try to construct a new Aero-style suspended coaster sometime in the future. I'm selling this. I think the suspended coaster died off in the early 90s, and there's not a big demand to bring it back. SNS will stick to the family suspended model, but when it comes to thrill coasters, I can't see them bringing back the suspended coaster. Stafer DD. Disney's Star Wars Hotel will not be popular. Big sell on this one. If we've learned anything over the years, it's that people love Star Wars. They'll pay anything for Star Wars, and they love Disney, so they'll find a market of people who will fill up that hotel. It won't be me, but those people, they're out there. Arthur Z. Within the next 15 years, Boulder Dash gets RMC'd. Definite sell. RMC doesn't work on terrain coasters, with the exception of Rattler. I don't think there's much that RMC can do with Boulder Dash. Plus, that's an amazing layout. All it really needs is some track work. If they can get GCI to work on it, that would take care of it for years. I'd love to see that. Caesar Smoothie. Cedar Fair buys Magic Mountain after Six Flags' inevitable second bankruptcy. I think that's a lot presumptuous to think that Six Flags is going back into bankruptcy. It could happen, but I wouldn't make that call right now. Regardless, I don't think Cedar Fair would take over. I'd pick Herschend and SeaWorld over Cedar Fair. It seems like they've been the least aggressive chain over the last few years. They'll target something every now and then, something they really think will work for them. This ranges from the Paramount takeover in 2006, all the way to the Schlitterbahn water parks. I would be really shocked if Cedar Fair made a move on Magic Mountain. Sam Diomede. Busch Gardens Tampa gets another major coaster in the next few years, this being due to Iron Gwazi not doing as well as planned due to timing of opening. I'm selling this. I think Iron Gwazi will do just fine. There was a lot of griping about them holding onto it for 2 years, but I think that'll all fade away fast. If they get a new ride, it won't be because Iron Gwazi was a failure. Given everything that's happened with SeaWorld over the last 2 years, I don't see them jumping right into another new major coaster for another 4 years at least. But hey, it's SeaWorld. They're unpredictable. Shock and Sammy. Demon at Six Flags Great America will close within the next 3 years. This is a sell. There were a lot of rumors about this when the lift motor blew out, but they got that taken care of. I don't see them taking this out. It's not in a great spot to put something else there, right in the middle of the park. Unless something else bad happens to it in the near future, I think it's there for the long term. But that leads me into this next one. Sports Mike 87. American Eagle will be replaced with an RMC T-Rex. This one is really tricky. American Eagle's future is really uncertain. I think the park still has to make the choice to fix it up, get new trains, or scrap it. That plot of land would be perfect for an RMC Raptor, so not a T-Rex, but a Raptor like Jersey Devil. I know getting to American Eagle is kind of a nightmare. It's well off the main path, not a great place for a brand new coaster, but I don't think it's a deal breaker. I'm buying this. I think Great America is next in line to get an RMC Raptor, and it could very well be where American Eagle currently stands. JFM Productions. Six Flags will start working with Intamin again. I don't think Six Flags has gotten burned quite as badly by Intamin as Cedar Fair. You know, other than the Green Lantern thing. I think they've been avoiding Intamin because of cost more than anything. Intamin has a bunch of new models. We've seen one of them come to Luna Park in Australia, and I think we could see Six Flags order something from this new catalog. It could be any of them, it just depends on the price. These are all kind of ripped off from other manufacturers, but if Intamin can undersell them, Six Flags would jump on that, and they should. Coaster John. An Intamin Stratocoaster will bite the dust in the next 5 years. This is really interesting, but I'm gonna sell. They'll do something to make it more reliable before they scrap it. LSMs are the wave of the present and the future. Can they get enough speed built up to clear that 420-foot top hat? Technology keeps advancing. Maybe they can get enough LSMs on there to even start climbing the top hat. Think of something like Wicked at Lagoon. I also got a buy or sell from OTS Coasters, saying they could replace this with a compressed air launch, but I don't think that track record is much better. I'm editing this in with news that Cedar Point will not reopen Top Thrill Dragster in 2022. That just made this question a whole lot more real. The park just had their state investigation finish, following the accident this past summer where someone got hit by a metal piece flying off the train. Cedar Fair is probably considering a lot of options here. First, I bet they install a big canvas over the queue. This is cheap and quick, and they can point to that and say this will never happen again. That would not take a whole year to get done. Next, maybe Cedar Fair takes this time to address the ride's reliability. I was thinking LSM's eventually being able to get this ride up to speed, but that may not be ready in the short term. Finally, they could be considering taking it down. It's possible they don't know what to do right now. And just like with Volcano, they shut it down to evaluate, and about a year later, they announced it would never reopen. This sounds like a bad scenario, but if they do that, you can guarantee they would replace it with something huge. An RMC T-Rex, maybe some kind of huge SNS air launch. It would be really exciting. So I am not as confident as I was before with my sell, but I'm willing to think Dragster still has a future at the park, no matter what that looks like. Nathan O. Six Flags will get a new CEO and go back to memberships in the next 5 years. This is so interesting to think about. What Six Flags is doing seems so risky, jacking up the prices before they jack up their quality. We definitely need to keep an eye on their performance this year. I can see it get to the point where the CEO's plan isn't working and he's forced out. The thing that really confuses me is the memberships. Why wouldn't they keep memberships when that's what everyone else seems to be doing? Monthly income, no expiration. It seems like a dream for a company like Six Flags. I'm buying that they'll bring back some kind of membership plan, even if they don't replace a CEO. Ice Cream Islander. Gravity Group will install another coaster on the scale of Hades or Voyage in the US again. I'm gonna buy this, but I had to think a long time about it. Hades, Voyage, Ravine Flyer 2. These were all built between 2005 and 2008. Gravity Group has done so much work in Asia recently, and everything in America has been small scale. If America gets one, who's gonna do it? Mount Olympus and Holiday World were easy choices. They worked a lot with CCI before they folded. Will we see perhaps Cedar Fair work with them, getting something major for Cedar Point eventually? Maybe SeaWorld. They are willing to build Woodies. Just look at Texas Stingray. Maybe Busch Gardens Tampa or SeaWorld San Diego gets something eventually. Maybe it'll be Silverwood or something off my radar. Because Gravity Group is still making the big ones, I think eventually it'll happen. Sonic Sean 89. Six Flags Discovery Kingdom gets a 150-foot mini hyper from B&M or Mach. As much as I love this idea, I'm selling it. It seems like the park is really focusing on small footprint coasters, cramming them into the smallest corners of the park. But if they wanted to branch out and put some rides in the back of the park, maybe. I still don't see it happening, even though it would be a perfect addition. Josh Aguillon. Houston will never get a big theme park again, but if they do, it'll be Disney. I'm selling this. I also don't think it would be a Disney park. Houston is the 4th biggest city in the country, and I know they have horrible weather. I went there in June one year, and it was the most humid, miserable day I've ever seen. They also have hurricanes every once in a while, but it seems like this massive population is underserved, and someone at some point will replace Astroworld as a major park. J Via 123456789. New Wonder Woman ride ends up being in your top 3 at the park. I'm selling this. Right now, my top 3 at Magic Mountain are Twisted Colossus, X2, and West Coast Racers. I have Jersey Devil way below West Coast Racers, so unless Wonder Woman is a whole lot better, or I'm able to ride it at a good time when it's actually running well, I don't see it passing West Coast Racers, but I do think it's possible. Austin Shaw. Silver Dollar City gets a B&M Terrain Hyper by 2025. I'm buying this. If you look at what Silver Dollar City has, there's not a whole lot they could get that could make a big splash. Maybe an Axis, but they already have a weird coaster like that with Time Traveler. Powder Cake is kind of like a hyper, but not enough to not need an actual hyper. I think it's a perfect addition for the park. Herschend is willing to spend the money. I could definitely see a hyper in that park. I think within the next 5 years, a hyper will either come to this park or Dollywood. Theme Park Horizons. Funspot Orlando will get an RMC Raptor by 2025. I'm buying this. It seems like the perfect addition. This park hasn't gotten a new coaster in almost 10 years. Those Raptors were made for a park like Funspot. They probably won't get a spinning coaster because Kissimmee has one. So unless they get a relocated coaster like Hurricane, I don't see why they wouldn't add a Raptor in the next 3 years. Gav Hearn. California's Great America will become a top 5 Cedar Fair park in the next 10 years. So if it wants to be a top 5 Cedar Fair park, it would have to be better than Knott's or Canada's Wonderland. I think it's close to those parks already. However, I'm gonna sell this. I think it was on track to do it, but that whole grand plan they had doesn't really seem to be in the works anymore, at least not in the short term. They were talking about a Hyper and an Impulse and possibly an RMC Grizzly. Maybe this does get done over the next 10 years, but what will the other parks add in the meantime? A Giga for Knott's, another B&M for Canada's Wonderland, maybe a surf coaster. I don't think CGA will overtake them. A Random Guy 42. Valleyfair gets rid of Excalibur before they get any new coasters. I'm buying this. I have no idea what Valleyfair's plans are for the future. They've gone 15 years now. Anyone who predicts a coaster for Valleyfair is pretty bold at this point. As for Excalibur, this has the axe written all over it. It's in a flood zone. It's separated from the park and makes more sense to be part of the water park. Plus, the ride's kind of outdated. It seems like this is the one that gets closed when they're short-staffed. I definitely think this is getting taken out before they add anything new. Let's make this one the last for episode 2. Mehmet Bidok. Six Flags Magic Mountain's next coaster will be announced within 2025. I'm absolutely buying this. Magic Mountain rarely goes more than 4 years without announcing a new coaster. And when I say rarely, I mean never. Wonder Woman was announced in 2021, and they'll definitely at least announce something new by 2025. What that is, or if it'll come at the expense of another coaster, I don't know. Maybe a dive coaster replacing Viper? Could happen, but we're getting way ahead of ourselves here. That's gonna do it for episode 2. If you submitted an idea and I didn't get to it, I'll put it in the mix for the next episode. Let me know what you think about any of these ideas, if I was spot on or way off in your opinion. And if you have anything you want to throw my way, put your idea in the comments with the words buy or sell in front of it. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like. And if you're new here, give me a sub for more content just like this. Also, check out my links below for my Discord server, and my second channel where I post copyright-free off-ride footage, and my new baseball channel if you also happen to be a baseball fanatic like me. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.